Well, after this announcement, all eyes now turn to who replaces Justin Trudeau. A number of contenders are in the speculation mix, and Catherine Cullen, the host of CBC's podcast, The House, she joins us now. So, Catherine, we'll start to learn soon who's putting their hat into the ring. What are you hearing at this point?
Yeah, it is, as you alluded to a few moments ago, David, quite a considerable list of people who are at least thinking about it. So let's talk about some of, certainly starting with the more prominent names. Let's start with Chrystia Freeland, former finance minister, and in many ways the catalyst for what we saw today from the Prime Minister. Interestingly, her name even coming up at the news conference, right? The very dramatic public resignation, the letter, certainly attracted a lot of attention to her. It does have some people, you know, we know she was getting plaudits, hugs at some of the caucus meetings. There's a lot of attention on her right now. She has been making calls. I spoke to one MP who received one of those calls from her and said, really, she didn't do a lot of talking. She did a lot of listening. It does seem like that process is underway. I've heard people talking about her strategic abilities. At the same time, referencing that news conference earlier today, the Prime Minister did explicitly say of Freeland when he was asked what happened, she's been by my side for 10 years now. She's been an incredible political partner. And that does speak to one of the key issues in this race. People who are seen as being too closely associated with the Prime Minister, if indeed Canadians are looking for a change, as opinion polls suggest from what they've seen so far. Let's talk about Mark Carney, too, another name that has loomed large over all of this, of course, acting as an economic advisor to the Liberal Party for a few months now, best known as the former Bank of Canada governor, former Bank of England governor. He put out that op-ed in the Globe and Mail over the holidays, sort of laying out his vision for Canada. Again, somebody who's been making phone calls. There's a sense that there is a infrastructure around him. He's got those economic bona fides. What he doesn't have is the political experience that some of these other folks do. Christy Clark, too, somebody who seems to have quite a machine up and running, former Premier of British Columbia. She, unlike a lot of the other names on this list, not a member of Justin Trudeau's government or even closely associated with him. The flip side of that, though, is some folks who might argue that she is not, in fact, truly a Liberal and will be needing to make inroads in the party. One more interesting set of information we've got today from our colleague Kate McKenna, David. Dominic LeBlanc, according to somebody with knowledge of his leadership plans, saying it's very likely that LeBlanc is going to present himself as a candidate. Until today's announcement, he has been reluctant to have conversations about the topic out of loyalty, but they have been sketching out a possible leadership plan for a number of weeks, suggesting there is significant support within the party and caucus. So those are some of the folks that we can see really actively organizing. Other names out there, we'll just run through them. Anita Anand, François-Philippe Champagne and Melanie Joly, questions. Certainly both folks who have seemed interested in this, but will they actually make the leap? And a couple of names that have emerged really only more recently, questions about whether Jonathan Wilkinson and Karina Gould might both be interested in jumping in. And as you alluded to before, David, that is a significant chunk of the Prime Minister's front bench. And if folks do indeed have to leave cabinet, should they decide to jump in, that may create some challenges, some new challenges for Justin Trudeau.
No, it's a long list of names without a lot of runway in front of it, Catherine. So how will all of this unfold? Because, you know, it's been a month. What happens next?
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, the party constitution, the Liberal Party constitution does suggest that a leadership race needs to be 90 days long. But there's like basically an asterisk baked in there that says, well, if things get messy, you could shake them up. And clearly they're going to have to do this with the prorogation only lasting until March 24. So a lot of questions right now. How long is this leadership race going to be? What's the bar for entry? How many signatures do you need? What kind of fundraising do you need to do? There are even questions about how many debates and whatnot might happen. And so, you know, we may see people raising their hand almost immediately saying they're ready to go now, but it may take a little bit more time as the party sorts out what this race looks like exactly. I don't know that we're necessarily going to learn that this week, but I don't know that it'll take the full 27 days that are allowed under the party constitution either. As the race starts to shape up, you're going to see some of these folks making a decision about whether or not it's right to jump in. A shorter race helps some people, hurts others. Some of these conditions will make or break people's decision of whether or not they want to make a run for it.
All right, Catherine, thank you so much. That's the CBC's Catherine Cullen.